In 2018, a major technology company scrapped an artificial intelligence it had built to review job applications. The system had taught itself to penalize resumes that included the word women's. Women's chess club captain, women's college graduate, women's leadership award. All downgraded, automatically, silently, without a human ever reading the reason. The company called this a flaw. They shut the system down, but they did not stop building them. This is not a story about one company. This is a story about a shift so gradual that most people experiencing it do not know it is happening. Algorithmic hiring is no longer experimental. It is infrastructure. In 2024, an estimated 83% of large employers in the United States use some form of automated screening for initial job applications, not as a tool, as a gate. The average corporate job posting receives 250 applications. No human resources department can read 250 resumes, so they do not try. They feed the resumes into a system. The system ranks them. The system scores them. The system decides which 20% reach a human being. The other 80% are not rejected. They are filtered. They never existed. And here is the architecture of the problem. The criteria these systems use are not public. They are not explained to the applicant. They are often not fully understood by the people who purchase the software. A hiring manager buys a system promising efficiency. The system promises to identify high performers. But the system was trained on historical data. Historical data from a company that, for decades, promoted a specific type of employee. The AI does not correct that pattern, it learns it. Every artificial intelligence that makes hiring decisions is trained on the record of who already succeeded. If your company historically promoted men with computer science degrees from specific universities, the AI will identify those features as predictors of success, not because they are better predictors, because they are the only predictors the machine has ever seen. In 2019, researchers at a major university tested this. They fed identical resumes to multiple hiring algorithms. The only variable was the candidate's name. Resumes with names associated with white applicants receive callbacks at a rate 50% higher than identical resumes with names associated with black applicants. The algorithms did not know the race of the applicant. They did not need to. They had learned to associate certain names, certain addresses, certain extracurricular activities with the historical record of who got hired. The machine was not racist. It was a mirror. And mirrors do not judge what they reflect. The deeper issue is opacity. When a human interviewer rejects you, you can ask why. You can challenge the decision. You can identify the bias. When an algorithm filters your resume in 0.03 seconds, there is no conversation. There is no appeal. There's only a score you will never see. Some systems now go further. They do not just read your resume. They analyze your voice, your facial expressions, your word choice, your micro expressions during a video interview. A system might score you lower for pausing too long, for not smiling enough, for using the word I too frequently, for using it too rarely. You do not know the criteria. You cannot prepare for them. You cannot correct them. You simply fail a test you did not know you were taking. The 2018 case was a headline because the company admitted the flaw and shut the system down. Most companies do not shut their systems down. They refine them. They retrain them. They add more data. But adding more data does not solve the problem if the data itself encodes the past. Consider the gig economy. Delivery drivers, warehouse workers, freelance designers. Their work is already managed by algorithm. The algorithm decides how many orders you receive. It decides your pay rate. It decides whether you are deactivated. In one documented case, a driver with a 4.95 rating out of 5 was deactivated by an automated system. The reason given? Unusual activity patterns. There was no human to appeal to. The system had decided. The driver lost their income. This is not a bug. This is the design. Algorithmic management scales infinitely. One system can screen 1 million applications. One system can manage 100,000 workers. One system can decide who eats and who does not. And no single human being is responsible for any individual decision. This is called efficiency. But efficiency for whom? A human resources manager who once spent 3 hours reviewing resumes now spends 3 minutes reviewing the AI's top 20 selections. The manager is more efficient. The company is more efficient. The 230 people whose resumes were filtered in 0.03 seconds each were not made more efficient. They were made invisible. And invisibility is not a labor market, it is a black box. When these systems are challenged, the defense is always the same. The algorithm is neutral. It removes human bias. This is a compelling argument. It is also a carefully constructed fiction. An algorithm does not remove bias, it automates it. It encodes it. It makes it faster, cheaper, and impossible to interrogate. A biased human interviewer can be reported. A biased algorithm can process 10,000 applications before a single complaint reaches a regulator. Some jurisdictions have attempted to address this. New York City passed a law in 2023 requiring companies to audit their hiring algorithms for bias. The law was celebrated as a breakthrough. It required audits. It did not require the audits to be public. It did not require companies to change their systems if bias was found. It required paperwork. Meanwhile, the systems continue to evolve. The newest models do not just screen resumes. They predict which employees will quit. They predict which employees will unionize. They predict which employees will file complaints. A system that can predict you will file a complaint can also ensure you never get hired in the first place. This is not speculation. This is the architecture of the next decade. Let me trace this to its logical endpoint. If an algorithm can screen your resume, analyze your interview, predict your performance, and forecast your loyalty, it can also construct a complete profile of your economic viability, not just for one job, for every job. The systems do not exist in isolation. They are built by a small number of vendors. They draw from overlapping data pools. Your score in one system can influence your score in another. A candidate rejected by an algorithm at company A may find their application downgraded at company B, not because company B knows about company A, but because both systems were trained on similar data and have learned to identify the same patterns. The patterns may be legitimate, they may be proxies for class, geography, education, health, neurodivergence. The algorithm does not know what it is measuring, it only knows what correlates. And correlation at sufficient scale becomes a cage. You do not need to be banned from employment. You simply need to be scored low enough that no human ever sees your name. This is not a conspiracy. This is a consequence. The consequence of removing friction from hiring is that you also remove the human moments where exceptions were made. There's a word for systems that sort human beings by predicted value and discard the outliers. We have built these systems before. We called them different names. We told ourselves they were temporary. We told ourselves someone would stop them. No one stopped them. They were simply replaced by more efficient versions. The question is not whether algorithmic hiring can be made fair. The question is whether fairness is a variable the system was ever designed to optimize for. Efficiency is measurable, fairness is contested. In a system built to maximize measurable outcomes, contested values do not survive. They are filtered out, and you will never know the criteria.